to know that's going to be happening. Okay. All right. So just want to start off with saying thank you for participating in our JHU Student Journey Map Focus Group. As we had stated in our initial email, the Office of Integrative Learning and Life Design, which houses all the career centers at the university, is looking to gain a better understanding of your journey while you've been at Hopkins. So we're very excited to have this discussion today. We were very excited to hear about your motivations, what have been really impactful experiences that you've had, and then ways to further support the next steps in your journey during your time at JHU. And then also to maybe, for helping future students coming through the school and what we can do. So as I mentioned, we are recording these focus groups and they are for us to review later on. So our team is going to go back through all of the different notes and things like that, review what we've heard. We're not going to share any of the recordings with anybody else, but we will be putting together a report to share with the ILLD leadership in the coming months. And that we will also to share that report with you. So you'll be able to kind of know, the things that were said and the things that you shared will be, you'll be able to look at that as well. So as we're kind of going through and as I'm kind of talking through a little bit of the agenda, if you wouldn't mind renaming next to your name, the school that you're affiliated with. So, you'll see by Jess, it has, Homewood. If I were to rename mine with Bloomberg, then so if you can just put it there, that just kind of helps us to kind of know what areas we're kind of talking with. So just quick overview of the agenda. So in the hour that we're together, our plan is to do some brief introductions and go through and start with an icebreaker question that we want you to answer as part of your introduction. The second part of what we're doing is an empathy map exercise to where we're going to review some of those questions that you received ahead of time. And then we're going to be doing a brainstorming activity to where we're going to look at current state and future state of your student journey. In order to do this, we're going to be utilizing Jamboard to facilitate the interactive parts of this. And you'll be getting an invite link into the chat in just a minute of what to join. Just as a show of hands, how many of you are familiar with using Jamboard? Or you can just do a thumbs up or something like that, or just unmute if you like. But if you've used it before, that's great. If not, you'll find it's a very interactive, easy tool to use. So, all right. So I'll start with the introduction about me. So again, my name is Paul Hutchinson. I'm the Director of Career Services at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. I've been with Hopkins for about 22 years. In the past 15, I've been with the Bloomberg School of Public Health. And my answer to the question of what is your general direction for where you want your career to go? So if I had to kind of answer that question, I'm not quite sure yet. So I'm still trying to figure that out. So I've been working for a long time, but also at the same time, I'm still looking to explore and try to do things differently. But if I kind of do a reflective look, I can look back at what is it that I've done that's always been the same. So essential theme, pretty much anything I've done has always been helping people. So that's why, I got into counseling as part of my graduate work. I did that for a little while. I've always been doing student advising and some sort of career coaching and helping students kind of, figure out what they want to do. So I always enjoy helping students and kind of listening. And so I could imagine anything I go doing in the future, that would always be the case. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jess and ask her to introduce herself.
Thank you, Paul. So hi, my name is Jess Harley. I'm working in the life design lab here in the Homewood campus, helping out undergraduates and primarily student athletes is my population. And for me, my general direction for what I want my career to go in is probably just something that has a big impact. I think I previously worked in a job that I felt like I wasn't having a huge impact on the lives of the people who I was working with. It was actually felt like I was making a negative impact. So that was something that I definitely want to make sure that moving forward, whatever I do next, if it's an industry or continues in higher ed, that's still having a positive impact. And I'm going to pass it on to Jessica. If you could be the first student to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jessica Tai. I'm a manufacturing engineer for a biomedical surgical navigation company. So I'm currently doing the biomedical engineering program. I don't really know where I want my career to go. I'm still working on that too, but I really like what I'm doing. I like being on the technical side of things, and I like a large part of my job is also process development, and so kind of figuring out how to make a device work in the manufacturing field and also be able to be used safely in the end user.
Let's see, I'll go with Cynthia.
Okay, let me see. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Cynthia. I am a master student at clinical mental health counseling program as a part-time student, and because I'm also working full-time, part-time student, part-time work job. So my career goal is to have both careers as a mental health counseling to be and also keep my current job as an immigration attorney. So I think the challenge for me is to balance both and to do both well, and also counseling is a new field for me. So that's also something I will need to invest more time to create this new path as one of my careers. Thank you.
So correct me if I say this incorrect. Is it Quan?
Hey, Paul, no problem. Yeah, it's Qiang.
Chung? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but feel free to, the Q, I tell people the Q word is Sean. So if you say Sean, I'll respond. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm here at the SAIS DC campus. It's only my second semester. My general direction for where I want to go for my career would be something along the lines of making government and corporate policy decisions more data-centric. I too am working full-time right now and going to school part-time. And I think that with the experiences I've gained in data analysis from SAIS can really contribute to that. And I think we just go straight to Teresa, right?
Hi, everyone. My name is Teresa. I'm a second year MSPH student at Bloomberg. I'm actually graduating this term. So yes, finally there. My general direction, I think it's kind of also like Jess mentioned, it's making an impact. I think that's what I really care about. But when I was looking for jobs last term is really having a good fit and the position really making a positive impact, or at least like the work you're doing, you feel like it's meaningful, right? And it's gonna matter at some point.
Great. Well, thank you all for sharing. And I think we have found in all of these focus groups that we've done, we've just had such a big diversity of where people are stage-wise, career-wise, academic-wise, the areas of interest and things like that. So I think it'll lead to a really productive discussion. So now we're going to move into the more interactive part of our focus group. So Jess has just put here into the chat a link to a Jamboard. So you should be able to open that up on your browser and take a look at it. And then I'll ask Jess if she can just kind of show a little bit of what it kind of looks like and what we're doing and how to kind of navigate and use this. So Jess?
Yeah, for sure. So you can see at the top of these, we have designated your schools by color. And again, like we don't want to know exactly like Jessica's saying this, but really what we're trying to see is just like, what are the trends? What are the similarities that we see between different whiting students? What are the similarities that we see between whiting and School of Education, like all that kind of stuff, and just really trying to gain insights from that. So these are going to be the colors that you're going to use for the sticky notes. And then there's a question of how have you felt supported with regards to your professional development? And so you can come down here on this left-hand side, underneath the select tab, there is a sticky note tab. And so you can come here. And so Jessica, you're going to be yellow. And then Cynthia, you're going to be green, and then moving on and so forth. You're just going to click the color that coordinates with kind of what makes the most sense for you. And then you can write whatever ways that you feel like you felt supported. So let's say you felt supported through one-on-one meetings. So just kind of writing out whatever, and it could be longer, it could be shorter, whatever ways you feel like you've been supported. And then I'll be in the background moving the sticky notes around so you don't have to worry about it. Really, we just want you to put down as much as you can. It can be workshops, it could be resources, it could be people who've supported you, really all those things that just have really made you feel supported with regards to your professional development. Are there any questions on how to use Jamboard or anything kind of with what you're tasked to do or things that you should be putting down?
Jess, I will switch to a laptop so I can type this easily. So I'm gonna leave and rejoin through my laptop. Is that okay?
Perfect. I think we just admitted you, so you should be good to go.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Cynthia. But any other questions before we get started? And you'll have 2 minutes for this round, and then we'll move on to the second question after that, but just focus on those ways that you have felt supported right now. Awesome, go ahead.
Jess, would you mind sending that link again? Because I just rejoined, so it's not there anymore. Sorry.
For sure, yes. Here you go. I got it for you in the chat. There you go. And try to have one idea per sticky note.
We got about 30 seconds left, so keep putting things in. All right. So time is up there. If you have any more things you want to add in, please feel free to do. And again, you can go back to any one of these, but I think the next thing to do is just to look at the very top there where it says 1 of 6. Just choose the arrow to go over to the next slide for 2 of 6. And here the question that we're asking is, how have you not felt supported with regards to your professional development? So things you wish you would have had. And we'll do the same thing again, give you about 2 minutes to go through and add sticky notes to this.
And please be honest, we like to hear the truth, the good, the bad, the ugly.
About 30 seconds left. All right, so time is up there. If you have any other things you want to add into that slide, feel free to do that. And we will do some kind of reflective part of it as well. So we can add more things in when we go back. So for the next one that we're going to look at, again, going over to slide 3, it's going to be the question asking you to think about how could you be or have been more supported with regards to your professional development. So if it's something that you heard that other people got, or things that you've gotten from other places, or just things in general you thought could have been better utilized, please feel free to share here that information, and we'll give you about 2 minutes to do that as well. About 30 seconds left, so keep going, adding things into this.
This is like a perfect world scenario. So money doesn't matter, resources don't matter, whatever you'd want.
All right. All right. So I think what we certainly kind of want to do here is spend the next kind of 5 to 7 minutes kind of going through. It's just maybe thinking about getting some reactions to some of the things you have here. Maybe looking at some of the things that are the same. Maybe even too looking at some trends or kind of things to just kind of get some more clarification on. So we're here on the first one, and Jess is kind of moving some things around, but just wanted to get anybody kind of get your reactions, anything that you see here, or something that you put down, or something in particular that you just want to talk about, and just feel free to unmute and go ahead and share. And if nobody wants to talk, I'm going to start to call on folks. So Jessica, could you talk a little bit about the mentoring opportunities you have here? Just curious to hear from you what you found to be really useful about those.
So I guess this comes more from other students, but it just was really helpful talking to other students at JH to one, realize that, I'm not putting in like a crazy amount of work and we're all doing that. And also, just in your career, it's nice to know like you're on a similar path as your classmates or whatever.
So the peer-to-peer type of advice was really useful.
Yeah. And I mean, talking to my advisor was also really useful because he kind of helped me, pick a path that I wanted to go for my classes. Since there are a lot of different paths in the biomedical engineering school that you can take.
Okay.
So that was useful too.
Just as a curiosity, the peer-to-peer things, were those kind of organic, or were they just they happen on their own, or were they kind of a formalized thing?
They happened on their own. I'm in projects, like a lot of my classes have projects.
Yep.
And so we'd just be, chatting 5 minutes after our group meeting ended. But I do think that would be really useful if we could, I don't know, go to some sort of student thing. I'm also distance though, so it might be a little harder for me because I don't really interact with my classmates a whole lot outside of a discussion board that we're getting graded on. So
Got it. Great.
Sean, you have your hand up? Is it Sean like that?
Yeah, thanks,
Perfect.
Jess. I wanted to follow up with a question to Jessica. Are those events student organized and student led?
they're not really events, they're project meetings, and then we just kind of chat afterwards. But I think a student-led meeting like that, or maybe, I don't know, figure out how to do like Zoom call or something might be kind of nice, just because then you can chat with your classmates and see where other people are at, even if it's just comparing workloads or trying to figure out how you did on certain assignments, or maybe it might be better to do it by class or whatever easiest is. But they're not really events, it's just project meetings.
Thank you.
Any other questions or things to add to anything that you see here on this slide?
And I know, Jessica, I see you put some workshops. I see Teresa, you put workshops as well. Are there like certain workshops that you feel like really stood out that were like, that was fantastic, everybody should have to go through that? or that was really helpful in my kind of career journey? Were there certain ones that really outside like the typical resume interview prep ones? Were there any other ones that you felt like really stood out to you?
I think for me, the timing really mattered a lot. So if they're around career fair and they're about either like resume review or cover letter review, I think those ones are the ones that I felt really helpful. And also if they're like networking or like alum workshops, maybe like earlier on, I think that would be helpful, just looking at the timeline, right? When people will be have time for networking, and when would people be really more interested in finding a job or submitting resumes.
Yeah, I think the resume one's also helpful because, you know, it seems like every few years your resume format is supposed to change. So even though I do currently have a job, I think they'd still be useful to go to, just for that, keeping updated on that.
I also have a comment about kind of the student meeting that Jessica mentioned. So I started my program in 2020. So everyone started virtually. I'm still virtual. And my cohort, we tried to have, Zoom meetings with the whole cohort. But at first it happened for a few weeks, but eventually just fall apart because I think having a Zoom meeting with a lot of people can be a little exhausting for some folks. And I also found that, if you are in a project meeting, right, everyone's here to do a project and at the end you can chit chat. I feel like that actually went better than if you were purposely there just for like a meeting.
So a meeting with a focused topic would have been more useful than just a general meeting of like, hey, let's just get together because we think we should.
Yeah, I think that's still helpful in the beginning, right? But I think later on, maybe people get busy with their schoolwork and stuff like that happens.
Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with what Teresa said too about the class size. I mean, in one of my classes, I think there's 56 students, so I could see a call with 56 people being really challenging. But you know, if you had maybe 6 or 8 people on a call, and I have no idea how that would get figured out or sorted, maybe it's like a randomized thing or something. But I also agree, once you get further into the semester, your school load does seem a lot heavier.
All right, so I think this is great. I think we want to go over to the next one and just to kind of get some review and to kind of look at it. How have you not felt supported with regards to your professional development? So anything that anybody wants to say a little bit more here or even add to if you feel like it.
I would like to talk about my very long
Sure.
notes.
Yeah, please do.
So I think it's probably more specific for the counseling students because a lot of us are not either international students or our first language is not English, which we can face pretty different challenges or a different market for the career. So I think it will be very helpful if we will have the opportunity to talk or meet with people, alumni or other cohort with similar background. For example, I know they were planning to have a meeting for students whose native language is not English to meet up to discuss that. Yeah, so I think it will be, and also some students may not want to practice in the US after graduation. So it will also be helpful if they have the opportunity to talk with people from the same country so they know what opportunity they will have after graduation. Yep.
Hey, Cynthia. Yeah, I understand the frustration there. So here at SAIS, because we're School of International Studies, we actually have a lot of those events available. So, you know, if that ever becomes available for non-size JHU campuses, I'm sure you'd be more than welcome to join us.
Oh yeah, that's good to know. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure it will be very helpful.
Any other points, suggestions, things you can think about here?
Sean, I was wondering if you have, I know you put a few things down here. So is there anything you really wanted to chat about? The kind of lack of in-person stuff, lack of career development events during winter and spring break. So is it more around like not having enough things that will keep you busy? That you feel like it's been your biggest struggle since you've been here?
So about the lack of events during breaks, I thought, you know, among my peers and myself, the best time that we could really focus on, you know, like outside of class or outside of the curriculum projects are most likely during breaks. And so my first winter break, I participated in a challenge organized by my career center and a utility company. And I thought, you know, although yes, it wasn't incentivized for us to do any work during Christmas or New Year's, but nonetheless, all of us who participated felt extremely rewarded and helpful to our career development. So I think, you know, timing was probably my biggest concern there. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. And Cynthia, I see you raised your hand. So do you have something on that too?
Yeah, I think, Sean's comment also remind me of a thought I had before, because some of us in the program don't live in Baltimore. So a lot of time we are not able to participate activities there. And we know there are definitely a number of students living in the DC area, although we can organize events to meet together, but I think it will be very helpful if school can help us organize events to meet with either the cohort in the current year or even recent graduate alumni in the area that's outside of the Homewood campus. Because so far, this is also my second semesters, but I feel not really connected to the school at all, but also because I'm part-time and I don't live in Baltimore. So yeah, so I think it will be helpful if we can have some events in DC area or somewhere closer. And I know everyone is very busy during semester. So if that can be sometimes during summer break or even spring break, that will be even more helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I think adding to that, I think a lot of my kind of the areas that I feel like we're not supported are due to the fact that I'm based not in Baltimore. And a lot of times I think it's just a lot harder to be connected, you know, no matter it's networking or talking with your peers, having a small talk after class, or talking to your professors, asking about different opportunities. I feel like those, I don't know if, you know, Hopkins is planning on to have more fully remote programs, but if that's the case, I feel like there could be some thought put into how to solve that, because I think one of my complaints being fully remote and not moving to Baltimore is I'm paying for the full tuition, but I don't think I get the same experience being in Baltimore.
And just kind of add one more point to the cross school programs. So the challenges that I've done so far, 2 of them, I would have loved to have, let's say, somebody from Whiting or Bloomberg to be part of my team, because for one of the challenges I did, I actually had to reach out to the Kellogg School of Finance from University of Chicago for someone, with, experiences that my team at SAIS did not have. But, I would much prefer to have someone from JHU. Nothing against Chicago, but yeah, I think it would be a lot more not only convenient, but just cohesive for my team if I could, reach out to someone at Bloomberg or Whiting to say, hey, we have the international business experience. We need somebody with engineering or like health sector expertise.
Yeah, I would agree with what the other 2 comments are, and that I am also fully remote, so it is a lot harder to feel part of, like, connected with everybody. Really, it's like I also have a full-time job, so I'm not necessarily always looking for professional help, but it is, like I said before, it is still really nice to just review your resume. You never know when you need one, or be part of that stuff, but it is definitely a challenge to feel connection with the other students.
So to me, just an interesting thing that's kind of come up with this is the time of it. So I guess the way that we've always kind of thought about it is like spring break is not a time to do anything because nobody really wants to participate. But it sounds like there might be opportunity to do stuff more during the traditional time of spring break, because it doesn't conflict with a lot of the academic or other type of requirements that you have. Would that be fair to say for the group?
I actually was doing schoolwork all of spring break.
Okay.
I have so much project work and stuff. I think winter break and summer break for sure, but spring break I was doing projects.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Paul, I think that is definitely true for those of us who are full-time, workers and part-time students.
Yep.
Yeah, if I were a full-time student at
You'd want the
JHU,
break.
I probably want to go somewhere.
Understood. All right, so real quickly, we're gonna go through this last one to see just any type of quick reactions or anything that we have here before we get to the kind of brainstorming exercise. But just kind of think about the more importantly, what you can kind of see is ways you feel like you could have been or more supported in regards to your professional development. So some of these things we may have already touched on. And then just anything here that you thought you wish you would have liked to see more of. And as Jess said, kind of think big about this too.
Oh, Jessica, I think you're muted.
Sorry. On mine, I said create more relevant workshops. And so I'm assuming that the workshops that I'm seeing are different than workshops undergrads are seeing. So for some of them, I see them and I go, why is this for master's students? We should all already know this. I would say most of the people in my master's program that I talk to are out in industry. But I don't really see as many workshops. I mean, asking for a raise or like working with your boss to get a promotion, or maybe some of those more challenging conversations that aren't really fun that I think would be really helpful for people who've been working in industry for a while.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it would be nice to have a workshop on how to negotiate salary for your offer. I think that's important too.
And I would like to, although I have participated in some events with alumni, but I noticed most of those alumni are not in the field of like mental health counseling. So there was probably one or two. So I think it would be helpful if the alumni event can be more targeted on the specific field.
Yeah, once again, I've seen plenty of events at SAIS that were related to salary negotiation, in particular salary negotiation for women in the workforce. So, if those ever open up to other schools, everyone should be welcome.
Yeah, I definitely think that, just as an aside, schools have individual things for their schools, and then we have like some things we can think to be university wide. And so, I think it just sometimes depends on the topic, if we think it's good for other schools to kind of know about and things like that. But I think there are some things that, universally, no matter what school you're in, you might find that it's useful to hear about. Okay. So great on this first part of it. Now we want to kind of have you transition your thinking and a little bit more to think about the impactful kind of touch points at various times that you have been here. And so what we want you to kind of think about here is from the time that you were admitted or completed the admissions process, accepted the offer, to the time that you started orientation or through that kind of orientation onboarding type of activities. What are some of the things you felt that were the best in terms of impactful touch points that happened for you, and then also that you'd want to see happen going forward? So think about those two things of things you really liked that I want to see continue, and then things you wish would have happened as well. So what we're just going to ask you to do here is kind of do the same things, use your sticky notes. We're going to have to ask you to move them into like what was a current state of what happened, and then a future state of what you want to see happen. And we'll spend a couple minutes. Maybe we'll do a minute and a half on this so we have enough time to kind of get through it. But yeah, just throw out as many different things there as you can. About 30 seconds left. Great. So now we're going to go on to the next one. And I want you to kind of think about, now on slide 5 of 6, we now want you to be thinking about your impactful touch points from the time that ended orientation, maybe through your first set of classes that you've taken up into the midpoint of your time. So even if you haven't started or you're at that midpoint of your kind of time at Hopkins, think about future state, think about what you would like to see. But now if you can just kind of think about that time frame, from the midpoint, and anything that you thought would be good to see there is impactful touch points that will kind of help you with what you'd want to be doing career-wise next. We'll do about 1.5 minutes here as well. About 30 seconds left. All right, wonderful. All right, and then for our final kind of thinking about, so now thinking about in terms of what do you think are the important or impactful touch points for the midpoint of your time at Hopkins up into graduation. So, in the final semesters or terms, things that you're doing, in the lead up to transitioning from being a student to a working professional. What are some of the things that you think would be important things to do or important touch points to have, or that Hopkins should be having with you as you get to that stage? So if you can now think about, about 1.5 minutes thinking about that, and then we'll go back and do some reflection to wrap up the time. About 30 seconds left. All right, so time's up. And so I think, obviously these are kind of different things to be kind of thinking about. But I think we as a group have really tried to kind of think about we know every student journey is a little bit different and different things they've had to do, but we're trying to, again, try to find a universal kind of student journey map. So now we can go back to the fourth slide. And just kind of take a look at some of the things that are there, just get some quick reactions to those things, and see if there's anything that you think you'd want to talk more in depth about, or we see any commonalities with things that are there. Thank you, Jess, for sharing. So just looking, there's two things I see. So I think Cynthia, you said something here about workshops with led by student groups, and then Teresa, you were saying like meeting as a group as well. So it's almost like I kind of see like there's the both sides of it. Is like that happened at one school, but then you wish it would happen in the other school. But Teresa, I'm sorry, Cynthia, can you talk a little bit more of like how that kind of came about?
Although I don't remember exactly when that happened, whether that's before the end of orientation or not, but CSI, the student organization in the counseling field, is super helpful because they know what are the concerns most people have at different point of our study. So they continuously to have either workshop or have professors participation, or just a panelist discussion with students to talk about their experience and how we can overcome that. And I also pair us with a mentor with students 1 year ahead of us. So I think that's very helpful because they know what we need the most. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Great. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one here real quick. So now we're talking a little bit about, the important or impactful touch points of things from the beginning of your time, just immediately following orientation up to the midpoint. So any reactions here, Jane? Things I see TA, office hours, people enjoyed having. Two things about, things in the evening for people that work full time. So anybody want to add anything here or comment on anything that's here? So it really kind of seems like at this point, it's like talking to people more than anything else, kind of exploring things is good. And then just trying to find things that are more, agreeable for people that are working. Great.
The TA office hours are nice because one, the TA is like there to help you with your classes, but also in my experience, they are students. So it's really useful because they can kind of be like, yeah, this is useless, just ignore that and focus on this, or just more of that general school help that you don't know as a student going through the class, and your teachers will tell you everything's important. I mean, it is, but TAs are helpful because they've just been students too, so they got it.
Got it.
I actually have a question. I don't know if that's specifically for this meeting, but I just wanted to see what other people's experience, because we have some classes that is held from in the evening from 7 p.m. to 9:30. So I wonder is it kind of common that professor will end the class like half hour or sometimes 1 hour before it's supposed to? Because I feel that only happens for the class in the evening. I can understand people are tired, but I'm still a little bit shocked that if that's a 2.5 hour class, then we just use 1 hour of it or 1.5 hour. But I don't know if maybe that's something that's common,
Right.
or other people have experienced that also.
Cynthia, I've had evening classes, which ended early consistently, but not by like, half of the class duration. Like maybe 2.5 hours, maybe it will end 15 minutes early, but not as much as, half of the class duration.
Right. The one I have end at least half hour or an hour earlier. Yeah. So, but yeah. So that's kind of concerning because I feel I'm not getting what I should have. But that's good to know. Thank you, Sean.
Cynthia, I'll just say I went through the counseling program at Hopkins. That happened a lot, so it's not something that's new, and it's been a concern for students in the past as well. So it happens.
Wow.
It happens. Yeah.
And it happens a lot. So wow. Okay.
I don't know if it happens a lot. I just know that it definitely happened to me when I was there. That we would leave. It would sometimes leave early and things like that.
Right. Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
All right. Well, we are at our last minute of this, so we want to be, respectful of your time and know that you have certainly, taken a portion of your busy days to spend and talk with us. But we do really just truly appreciate your candid conversations with us. And again, like I say, we will be putting all this information together. We have 2 more focus groups today, and then we'll be putting together a report, and we'll be able to share that report as well. Jess, anything else to cover?
Yeah, I think just we will share. I think you just said that, but also thank you again. And in honor of you all participating in this, we will be sending you a $15 DoorDash code that you can use at your own disposal for a time when you feel like you need some extra time and don't have time to cook. So we really wanted to make this as easy and enjoyable for you all. And again, appreciate everything that you've shared today. And we'll be sharing kind of updates with you as we go along. But have a great rest of your week, and thank you again.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your help,
Thank
too.
you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.